Have you ever been afraid of the dark? I was. When I was a kid, I was absolutely terrified of what ghostly creatures might be hiding in my room at night. The moment the lights went off, everything changed. Corners weren't just corners anymore. Closets weren't just closets. The darkness felt alive. But then I got older. I rationalized it. And by the time I was a teenager, being afraid of the dark was just something foolish I did as a child. Ridiculous, illogical, embarrassing even. Then fast forward to my adult years, when I began paranormal investigation. I still remember the first night I went out with the team. And what's the first thing the investigators do when they go looking for ghosts? They turn out the lights. I remember standing there thinking, oh shit, are ghosts really in the dark? For a split second, that childhood fear came rushing back. Was I right all along? Well, I eventually realized something important. There's no real reason to be afraid of ghosts. But that darkness can be absolutely terrifying. And here's the part most people don't realize. There's real science to back it up. Stick around. Oh, shit. I'm Michael J. Baker. For more than a decade, I sat in dark, decrepit places looking for evidence of the unknown. And what I found was that the scariest part of those places had little to do with any alleged paranormal activity. So, if fear of the darkness isn't about ghosts, where's that fear coming from? Well, let's start with the body, not the imagination, because before any of your thoughts can change, your nervous system does. In 1997, Christian Grillian and colleagues ran controlled experiments measuring the human startle reflex, that involuntary flinch your body makes in response to sudden sound. Participants were placed in alternating blocks of light and complete darkness. Same room, same sounds, same people. The result? In darkness, the startle response significantly increased. Nothing else changed, just the absence of light. That means that your defensive reflex, your automatic prepare for danger system, becomes more reactive when visibility drops. Before you even think something is wrong, your body is already leaning toward threat. That is stage one. Darkness elevates physiological vigilance. Now we move deeper. In 2021, a study published in the journal PLOS1 examined how light and darkness affect activity in the amygdala, a region of the brain heavily involved in processing threat and emotionally salient stimuli. Participants were placed in an fMRI scanner and exposed to alternating blocks of light and dark. Light suppressed the amygdala activity. Darkness allowed greater activation. Let that sink in a moment. Turning on a light doesn't just help you see, it quiets part of your fear circuitry, which means when you stand in a dark hallway and feel that creeping tension, that isn't weakness. It's measurable neural activation. And that is stage two. Darkness alters emotional processing. But here's where it gets interesting, because now we move from the body to perception. When light levels drop, your visual system switches operating modes. Color detection falls away, detail collapses, peripheral vision becomes noisier, edges soften, shadows merge, and your brain doesn't like gaps in data, so it predicts. But it doesn't predict randomly, it predicts conservatively. In ambiguous conditions, your perceptual system is biased towards detecting agency, towards seeing movement, intention, presence. Evolutionarily, mistaking a bush for a predator is cheaper than mistaking a predator for a bush. So in low visibility, your brain leans towards something is there. And that is stage three. Darkness increases perceptual ambiguity. And ambiguity tilts towards agency detection. Now layer on cognition. In the dark, your brain also loses spatial anchors. When you hear a subtle sound, a pipe tick, wood contracting, fabric shifting. You have fewer visual references to triangulate where it came from. Sound localization becomes less precise, and when the brain cannot localize something confidently, it often moves it closer. It sounded like it was right next to me. It came from that corner. Maybe your brain compressed the uncertainty inward. That is stage 4. Darkness destabilizes spatial certainty. And now we arrive at the part where no one in the paranormal world likes to talk about, because paranormal investigation deliberately stacks all 4 of these mechanisms at once. Lights off, silence emphasized, expectations elevated, participants primed for anomaly. You are now in an environment where your startle reflex is elevated. Your amygdala is more reactive. Your visual system is degraded. Your sound localization is compromised. And then we ask the question, did you feel anything? Well, of course you did. That doesn't invalidate experiences. It contextualizes them. Darkness is not a neutral laboratory condition. It is an amplifier. And here's the part that fascinates me the most. Darkness doesn't just increase fear, it increases meaning making. When the brain lacks clarity, it doesn't sit idle. It constructs narrative. That shape becomes a figure. That noise becomes intention. That tension becomes presence. Not because you're gullible, but because your predictive brain would rather be wrong about a threat than blind to one. And this is why children fear the dark so intensely. Not because they're irrational, but because imagination plus ambiguity plus elevated vigilance equals vivid threat simulation. As adults, we rationalize it, but the circuitry never disappears. You can intellectually reject ghosts all day long. Your amygdala doesn't care. It responds to conditions, not beliefs. So what do we do with that? Well, we flip the script. Next time you feel fear and darkness, don't immediately externalize it. Don't ask what's out there. Ask what mechanism was just activated. Is it startle amplification? Is it degraded visual signal? Is it spatial uncertainty? Is it predictive threat bias? Because once you identify the mechanism, the mystery shrinks and something interesting happens. The fear shifts from supernatural to neurological. And that shift doesn't make the experience less powerful, it makes it more astonishing. Because what's actually happening is this. In the absence of light, your brain becomes hyper-creative in defense of your survival. Darkness, it doesn't prove monsters exist. It proves your nervous system is exquisitely tuned to uncertainty. And maybe that is the real revelation here. The scariest thing in the dark isn't what might be hiding there. It's how much of the scene your brain is willing to invent to protect you. And once you understand that, you don't need to eliminate the dark. You just stop letting it write the story for you. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Until then, stay curious and question everything.